All right, Shalom Israel, with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, and the Commander General Yohana. We are not affiliated with any other Israelite group nor any other Christian organization, all right? So tonight's class is going to be a continuation of last night's class, all right? We're still in the Feast of Purim, all right? Now remember, the Feast of Purim is not necessarily a high holy day. So I want everyone to understand that it's not necessarily a high holy day. The Feast of Purim is a memorial service to honor the sister Esther, all right, and what she did and the sacrifices she made, all right, for the nation of Israel. Like that's what the Feast of Purim is about. It's a memorial service, so it's not a high holy day, meaning there's not an opening or a closing. All right, an opening would be more so for a high holy day, and a closing would be for a high holy day. But now in this case, the Feast of Purim is 2 days. All right, it's the 14th and the 15th of each month. All right, we went over that in the month of Adar, which would fall during the time of February in the March time frame. That's when you would really celebrate, or I should say, set up the memorial service to honor the sister Esther for what she did for the nation of Israel. So go ahead and start. You said you got Esther chapter 2. We're gonna get there. Give me go ahead and give me Esther chapter 2. I know you said you're already there. All right, let me get to my breakdowns too as well. You can start towards the end of Esther chapter 2, but for sure. Where we left. Actually, go to Esther chapter 3, because that's what we're going to continue
in. Verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
Come, sir. This is the book of Esther, chapter 3, verse 1.
Go ahead.
After these things did King Ahasuerus Saurius promote Haman, the son.
Go ahead.
The son of
Hamadatha.
Mm-hmm. The Agagite.
There you go. So now that's something that we got to understand. So this right here, all right, this is when he raised up one of the Agagites, which his name was Haman. So now Haman's being introduced, all right? Now Haman's being introduced, and he's an Agagite. Okay, now I want everyone to pay attention here. Haman is an Agagite. All right, he's an Agagite. All right, I want you to pay very close attention to that. All right, go ahead.
Come, and advanced him, and set his seat above all the princes that were with him.
Go ahead.
Verse 2. And all the king's servants that were within the king's gate bowed.
So now when he came in, everyone bowed. All right, so all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed. Go ahead.
Come. And reverenced Haman.
Meaning they gave him the respect. They honored Haman when he came in. All right, pretty much like a bowing down was like, more so like a courtesy in royalty, or if you were in a position of power, you would get bowed down to. In Israelite culture, all right, we salute each other, or we bow down to our king who would be in charge. All right, that would be our culture. That's what we would do. All right. Now the Persians and Medes in their culture, right, to honor someone, to give them reverence, to give them respect, if they were in a high status or they were in a position of authority, they would bow. Go ahead.
Come. For the king had so commanded concerning him.
Go ahead.
But Mordecai bowed not.
It said what?
But Mordecai bowed not.
It said what? One more time. What did Mordecai not do?
But Mordecai bowed not.
Now my question is right here. Now this is verse 3. All right. It says, then the king's servants, all right, which were in the king's gate, said unto Mordecai. I mean, it's like it. We didn't get there yet. It says, but Mordecai bowed not. Continue after that.
Come. Nor did him reverence.
It said what?
Nor did him reverence.
So Mordecai didn't bow at all right? Nor did he reverence Haman at all. So I want everyone to pay attention to this. He did not bow down. Haman, it's like it. Mordecai, right, being the brother that he was, He didn't bow down to this to this brother. I mean, it's like to this man Haman. All right, he was an Agite. He didn't bow down to this Agite. All right, which was Haman. He didn't do it. All right, nor did he show him any reverence at all. Mordecai didn't show this Agite Haman no reverence at all. Continue to verse 3.
Come, sir. Verse 3. Then the king's servants, which were in the king's gate.
So the king's servants that were in the king's gate, go ahead,
said unto Mordecai.
So they're saying something to Mordecai. Go ahead.
Come. Why transgresseth thou the king's commandment?
Say it one more time.
Why transgresseth thou the commandment?
Why do you transgress the king's commandment? Meaning, why did you not bow down to this man? You understand? Why did you not bow down to Agite? While everyone else is bowing down to Haman the Agite, Mordecai is the only brother within the gates not bowing down to this man. So they wondering, so why do you transgress the king's commandment? The king said to bow down and give this man reverence and to bow down to Haman because he promoted him. He raised him up. So why are you not bowing down? My question is, can anybody answer online or even in class? Why didn't Mordecai bow? Can anybody tell me in class? All right. Anybody in class, why didn't Mordecai bow? Go ahead, Aki, we got an answer.
Come, sir. He did not bow down because that man was not of our nation.
Okay, not necessarily. Want to give it another shot? Not sure if you know the story or not. I'm not sure. It's the wife if you don't. But want to give it another shot?
Salakia. He did not deal with him because Esther is his child. Yes, he took her.
Okay, this is what I want you to do. I want you to hold two scriptures for me, all right?
Okay.
I want you to get, first we're going to talk about the Agite, all right? Let's get about the Agite. Let's see, Agag, all right? You know what let's see. You may not know what okay. Okay, I want you to give me the editions of Esther. Give me the editions of Esther chapter 13. Give me the editions of Esther chapter 13. And start at verse 12.
Chapter 13.
Con.
And verse 1.
Verse 12, if you can.
Come. Thou knowest all things, and thou knowest, Lord, that was neither in contempt nor pride.
So now go to verse 11. Go to verse 11. What does verse 11 say?
Come. Thou art Lord of all things.
Go ahead.
And there is no man that can resist thee.
So this is Mordecai talking, by the way. So this is Mordecai speaking, and Mordecai is talking about the Lord, like, you the Lord of all things, and no one can resist you. Go ahead.
Come. Which art the Lord.
Go ahead, because you're the Most High.
Come. Verse 12. Thou knowest all things.
Y'all know it's all things, right? Y'all know, you know it's all things. You're the Lord of all. You know it's all things. Go ahead.
Oh God. And thou knowest.
And it says, thou knowest, saying the Lord knows this right here. Like the Lord knows. Like the Lord knows this right here. Go ahead.
Oh God. Lord, that it was neither in contempt nor pride.
It was neither contempt nor pride. So what is this brother talking about right here? So now so it says it was neither contempt. What does it mean for contempt, Doc? What's contempt? You remember the definition of contempt?
Not to contempt means not to respect no one.
Exactly. Not to respect and have hate towards them. Go ahead.
Come, sir.
And it said contempt or what? Or what?
Come. So
contempt or what? Or pride, right?
So thou knowest all things, and thou knowest, Lord, that it was neither in contempt nor pride.
Nor what?
Nor pride.
Nor what?
Nor pride.
I mean, this had nothing to do with pride. This had nothing to do with contempt, meaning I didn't want to respect him, nor did it have anything to do with pride. Meaning I just didn't do this because I was some prideful bastard. This is not why I did it. Go to verse 13, Baba Kwashai.
Come. Verse 13. For I could have been content with good will for the salvation of Israel to kiss the soles of his feet.
It said what? Start from the top.
To kiss the soles of his feet.
Start from the top.
Come. For I could have been content.
Mordecai saying, I could have been good with it. I could have been content with it. Go ahead.
Come. With good will for the salvation of Israel.
Of who?
The salvation of Israel.
Of who?
The salvation of Israel.
Go ahead, Ak.
To kiss the soles of his feet.
Who is his feet? To kiss the soles of whose feet, Ak?
The nation of Israel.
La. He's kissing, he said he would have been okay with kissing the feet of whoever it is for the salvation of Israel. So whose feet is he talking about? This is Mordecai talking, right? Was that it on verse 13?
Come.
So okay, now whose feet is he talking about?
The Lord?
No.
The nation?
La. Read it one more time. Let's figure it out.
Come.
Think about what we just read and think about what we're reading now. Say it one more time.
Come. Verse 13. For I could have been content with good will for the salvation of Israel to kiss the soles of his feet.
To kiss the soles of his feet. Who is his feet?
Is there Mordecai?
This is Mordecai talking. So who is he talking about here?
The Most High?
No, he's not talking about the Most High. He's talking to the Lord about this. He's talking about Haman. He said he would have been okay with kissing the feet, not just bowing down to him, but kissing his feet. He would have been okay as long as it was for the salvation of Israel. He said, I would have did it with no problem. It wasn't about contempt, right? It wasn't about I didn't want to give him respect. Give me back to Esther chapter 3, verse 4. All right. It wasn't about having contempt. It wasn't about pride. Had nothing to do with it. Actually, read verse 14. Let's see what verse 14 says.
So, sir, what was the chapter again?
Esther, the editions of Esther, All right, and I believe that's chapter 13. I want to see what verse 14 says. What does verse 14 say?
Come. But I did this.
But I did this. Go ahead.
That I may not prefer the glory of man above the glory of God.
Say that one more time. Like, this is why he did it. Go ahead.
But I did this, that I might not prefer the glory of man above the glory of God.
He did not prefer the glory of man before the glory of the Most High. Why? Continue reading.
Neither will I worship any but thee.
Neither will I worship any but thee, meaning I'm only going to worship the Lord. I'm not going to worship some filthy, disgusting heathen. I'm going to worship the Lord. That's what I'm going to do. It had nothing to do with contempt. It had nothing to do with pride. Go ahead, Doc.
Come. Neither will I worship any but thee, O God. Neither will I do it in pride.
Neither will I do it in pride. Go ahead.
Come, verse 15. And now, O Lord, God and King, spare thy people.
It said what?
Spare thy people.
It said what?
Spare thy people.
It says spare thy people. Go ahead, Doc.
For their eyes are upon us to bring us to naught.
To bring us to what?
To naught.
To bring us to what?
To naught.
What does it mean, naught? Shalom, Yahweh Shem Shabbat Cat. What does it mean to bring you to naught? What does naught mean? Do you know what naught means, Doc?
Lie.
Go ahead and look at what naught means. Mordecai is speaking to the Lord. He's praying to the Lord right now. He's making a supplication to the Lord, talking about this had nothing to do with pride. This had nothing to do with contempt. All right? I'm going to serve you and only you. Right? I'm not going to worship this heathen. I'm not going to bow down to this heathen. All right? But I do ask you because I did not bow down to that heathen, because I'm actually doing what you're saying for me to do, spare my people, because these other people are trying to bring us to naught. What is naught?
Salakia, sir, it means nothing.
It means what?
Nothing.
It means what?
Nothing.
It means they were going to completely eradicate us. It means what?
Nothing.
They wanted to destroy every last man, woman, and child. It said what?
Nothing.
This is what these nations, this is how these other nations on the earth look at us. It said what?
Nothing.
That's why the Bible says they have consulted together with one consent. They are conferred against thee. It says what?
Nothing.
Like, that's what naught means. These are what these other people wanted to do, to bring us to naught, to absolutely nothing. You understand? That's the spirit. Now bring me back to Esther chapter 3, and I want you to start at verse 3. Give me Esther chapter 3, verse 3, Bubble Prashad. Now the brother stated, right? So now actually start at verse 4 where they ask the question.
Verse 4?
Yes, Esther chapter 3, verse 4.
Come, sir. This is the book of Esther, chapter 3, verse 4.
Go ahead, Op.
Now it came to pass.
Go ahead.
When they spake daily unto him.
It's like in Esther chapter 3, verse 4.
Come.
Let me see. Go to verse 3, Salaki. Verse 3.
Chapter 3, verse 3.
Right, Esther chapter 3, verse 3, Salaki.
Come, sir. This is the book of Esther, chapter 3, verse 3.
Go ahead, Op.
Then the king's servants, which were in the king's gate.
So the king's servants at the king's gate. Go ahead.
Come, said unto Mordecai.
Say it unto Mordecai. Go ahead, Op.
Why transgresseth thou the king's commandment?
Why transgresseth the king's commandment? Go ahead.
Come.
So it says, why transgresseth thou the king's commandment? What was the king's commandment? It was the bow, right? It was the bow when Haman came through. And what did Mordecai do?
He did not do that.
And why?
Because he is not of their nation.
La, we just read it. Why? We read it in the editions of Esther. Why did he not bow?
Because he didn't want to know their ethnicity.
La. La. Here's why. All right, here's why. He said because I prefer to worship you than to worship man. Now this Haman, he was, what nation was he? Where did it say he came from?
He was an Agagite.
Right, an Agite, right? What nation do they come from?
I will not know that.
Amalek. An Agite is an Amalekite. And Amalek comes from what nation?
That is a fake Jew.
Yes, that would be a fake Jewish man today, right? But what nation does he come from? What nation does Amalek fall under?
That's like a fake. There would be like a
Okay, I'm gonna walk you through it.
person that lives in the.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna walk you through it, right? If Simeon, okay, Simeon is a what?
Simeon is.
What nation does Simeon fall under?
That's Indian.
What? Okay.
Oh no, Simeon is a Dominican.
Correct. But what nation does Simeon fall under? What nation does Judah fall under? What nation does Gad fall under? What nation does Naphtali fall under? What nation does Issachar fall under? What nation do we come from?
America.
La'ah. Focus, right? I'm gonna walk you through it. What nation does Judah fall under?
Africa.
You said Judah?
Come.
Okay, you're a Judite, right? So you're African. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay.
Lie.
All right. So what nation does Judah fall under?
Negro.
Okay, that's not a nationality, right?
Israel.
Israel. That's the nation Judites fall under. That's the nation that Simeon falls under and Ephraim falls under. Like that's the nation, right? That we fall under, the nation of Israel. So Amalek, he's a fake Jewish man, right? So Amalek, what nation does he fall under?
Esau.
There you go. The nation of Edom. Meaning this was the Edomites. This was a so-called white man right here. All right? He wasn't going. Now, what did Amalek? Now, Amalek, for time's sake, I'm gonna teach it real quick. If anyone doesn't know, Amalek, all right, was evil towards the nation of Israel. And Amalek killed our children, our old, our young, and attacked us from behind, took our kids and smashed them against the rock. Like that's what Amalek did to blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans when we came out of Egypt. All right? That's why the Lord hated Amalek. That's why the Lord gave a order to King Saul, right, to completely eradicate Amalek. Now, did King Saul follow that order? He did not follow that order. That's why Haman is alive right now. That's the reason why Haman is in the Persian Medes Empire right now, and Mordecai is not bowing down to this devil. Because he also understands, I'm not going to worship a man that the Lord ordered to completely eradicate because of the crimes he committed against my people by killing us and murdering us, our old, our young, and taking our babies and smashing them against the rocks and attacking us from behind. That's not what I'm going to do. Continue reading out in verse 4.
Now it came to pass, when they spake daily unto him,
Go ahead, Doc.
and he hearkened unto them,
Go ahead.
that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's matters would stand.
So let's see if Mordecai's matter withstand. Go ahead.
Okay. For he had told them that he was a Jew.
So they told him that he was a Jew. Haman told them that, hey, Mordecai's a Jew. All right, he's an Israelite. He's a Jew. Go ahead.
Okay, verse 5. And when Haman, and when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence.
It said what?
Nor did him reverence.
So now when Haman saw that Mordecai did not bow and gave him the respect, what happened?
Nor did him reverence.
Go ahead.
Then was Haman full of wrath.
Haman was full of what?
Wrath.
Full of what?
Wrath.
Haman was full of wrath. Go ahead.
Verse 6. And he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone.
So he sought to go one-on-one with Mordecai, to lay hands on him. Go ahead.
For they had shewed him the people of Mordecai.
And he showed him, all right? He showed him the people of Mordecai. Go ahead.
Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom.
Did it say some of the Jews?
Throughout the whole
Did
kingdom.
it say some of the Jews?
Throughout the whole kingdom.
Say all of the Jews. Select
Throughout the whole kingdom.
I want you to say all of the Jews.
Come. Destroy all the Jews.
Did it say some?
All the
Did
Jews.
it say a little bit?
All the Jews.
Just the ones of what I choose to.
All the Jews.
Like, this is something that we have to understand. Because of what one man did, the entire nation, he wants to punish the entire nation and completely eradicate and destroy all of us. And this is something, and this is so crazy, right? This is what our people have to understand. It does not matter if you are in the ISUPK or not. All right? It doesn't matter. You're still black. You're still Latino, and you're still Native American. And you are still going to suffer just as much as we are going to suffer for what we do. You understand? We fight because we actually give a damn about our people. And we will stand for our people. And we are willing to die for our people. You understand? Just like Mordecai was. He stood up and he did not bow. And he was not going to show this heathen reverence because he did not give a damn about that. He would rather worship the Lord than this filthy, disgusting heathen. He preferred to worship the Most High before he worshiped this heathen right here. You understand that? This heathen was so evil that he was going to destroy all of the Jews because Mordecai did not bow. You understand? Now just imagine if our oppressor decided, right? Just imagine if our oppressor decided to kill all the Jews. I say kill all blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans because we made an Edomite kiss our boots. You understand that? Imagine that. Like, that's how evil these nations are. This is how evil our oppressor is, that he will eradicate your entire race because you did not want to bow. You know what? Better yet, do you know that you know how evil a nation is? You know how evil our oppressor is? You know how evil people like Andrew Jackson is, and Donald Trump is, and Joe Biden is? That they were going to persecuted the entire NFL to the point where if they saw you kneeling during their national anthem, you was going to get fined or kicked out of the NFL just like Kaepernick. This is the spirit of our oppressor right here in the Bible. This is the spirit of our oppressor right here. Also, don't forget to put your name, city, and state, all right? Do not forget to check in and sign in to put your name, city, and state. Like this is the spirit of our oppressor right here, and no one realizes it. And let me tell you, it's a shame. Continue reading that.
Verse 7. In the first month, that is, the month of Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus,
Source. Right.
they cast her, that is, the light, before
Hammond.
from day to day,
Mm-hmm.
and from month to month,
Go ahead.
to the 12th month, that is, the month Adar.
Go ahead.
Verse 7 or verse 8. And Haman said unto the king Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom.
Now Haman is talking to the king, and he's saying there's a certain people that scattered abroad your kingdom, right? He said a certain people. Go ahead.
And their laws are dispersed from all people.
They are what?
Dispersed
Diverse.
Diverse from all people.
Meaning they're different. They're not the same as everyone else's. While you believe that it's okay for your people to have sex with whores and have orgies and watch all the pornography, and a man can have sex with a man, and a woman can have sex with a woman, and you can eat all the pork and shellfish that you can eat, these people don't do that. Those people don't live that type of lifestyle. They don't eat pork. They don't eat shrimp and lobster. A man doesn't have sex with another man. A woman does not have sex with another woman. An adult does not have sex with a child. You understand? They believe in having more than one wife. They don't believe they're women leaving their man for another man. Their laws are diverse. You understand? They're not sacrificing pork on the altar of the Lord. You understand? They're not sacrificing swine on their altars. We're sacrificing swine on our altars, but they are not. You understand? Because their laws are diverse. Their laws are different from ours because we keep God's laws. Go ahead.
Come. Neither keep they the king's laws.
The what?
The king's laws.
Because the king's laws, they have their certain laws in that kingdom that we're just not going to keep. You understand? There are certain laws in the kingdom of Persia and Medes that we're just not going to keep. Why? Because it's against our law. If the law says, okay, go ahead and celebrate Christmas because it's a federal holiday, we're not going to keep that law. Because first things first, we don't have to celebrate Christmas. And we're not going to celebrate Christmas because that's against the Lord. You understand? Like we're not going to celebrate the 4th of July. All right? The king gave a commandment that it's going to be a national federal holiday. And you celebrate the 4th of July and everyone has a day off. You know, essential personnel only. But the Jews, we're not going to do it. We're going to separate from you. And we're going to keep our own high holy days. Like this right here, Haman knows who Haman, which is an Amalekite, right? An Agite. He knows how the Jews operate. He knows how the Israelites operate. He knows our culture. He knows our heritage, and he's putting the king on game. Like there's a certain people that don't do these things that you say to do, that you say is okay to do, but they don't do it. They do something completely different. Go ahead.
Come. Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them.
It said what?
Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them.
Therefore, it is not the king's profit to suffer them. What does that mean now? What does it mean to suffer them? Meaning to tolerate them. Meaning there's no profit to keep them around and suffer them and tolerate them. Go ahead.
Come. Verse 9. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed.
So let it be written that they may be what?
Destroyed.
Be what?
Destroyed.
The spirit of our oppressor is what?
Destroyed.
What do they want to do, the Israelites?
Destroyed.
They want to do what to so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans?
Destroyed.
Like this is the spirit of our oppressor. They completely hate us and despise us to the point that they want to make us not. You understand? They want us to. They want us to be completely nothing. Don't forget to put your name, city, and state. All right. Don't forget to sign in and check in and put your name, city, and state. Most High in Christ. Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
Come. And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have the charge of the business to bring it to the king's treasury.
To the king's what?
Treasury.
Go ahead.
Come. Verse 10. And the king took his ring from his hand.
Took his ring from his what?
His hand.
From his what?
His hand.
Go ahead.
And gave it unto Haman.
And he gave it unto him. Go ahead.
The son of Salaki.
You talk about the son of
Hamadaka.
Go ahead.
The Jews enemy.
So God doesn't love everybody. He said what?
The Jews enemy.
The what?
The Jews enemy.
It said the Jews enemy. 1 second. Hold your peace right there. Don't move. Don't move from that spot. Let me figure this shit out. Let me figure this out. Okay. All right, Shalom, Salaki. We had some technical difficulties there. All right. I think we back up on it again. All right. And now something to understood. Go off where we left off. All right, Book of Bashas. Go where we left off in verse 10. Start from the Jews' enemy.
So I hear. You want me to read the whole thing?
Start from the Jews' enemy.
Come. The Jews' enemy.
The what?
The Jews' enemy.
Now remember, the Israelites, we have enemies. All right, we have enemies. Not everyone's our friend. Don't listen to Christianity. Everyone is not for you. Not everyone's going to be with you. All lives don't matter. That's why you're marching right now for no damn reason at all, talking about Black Lives Matter. Because we have enemies. We have people that completely despise us. We have people that don't want to deal with us. We have people that want to completely commit genocide on our entire nation and not consider it genocide. It says what?
The Jews' enemy.
Our oppressor is our enemy. You understand? Joe Biden is our enemy. Donald Trump is our enemy. Kamala Harris is our enemy. Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton are our enemy. George Bush Sr. and George Bush Jr. is our enemy. Ronald Reagan are our enemy. JFK is our enemy. Dwight D. Eisenhower, George Washington, the people like Andrew Jackson and John Adams, all right, and Thomas Jefferson are our enemy. What did the Lord say?
The Jews' enemy.
Continue reading out.
Come, verse 11.
Go ahead.
And the king said unto Haman, the silver is given unto thee.
The what?
The silver is given to thee.
Go ahead.
The people also.
Go ahead.
To do with them as it seemeth good to thee.
Meaning, do whatever that seemeth good to you to these people. All right? Don't forget to put your name, city, and state in the live chat. And don't forget to fill out that document, Bubba Kwasha. All right? Go into the live chat on YouTube. All right? And don't forget to sign into that chat. All right? Do not forget that. Go ahead,
Come. Verse 12. Then were the king's scribes called on the 13th day of the first month.
So the king's scribes were called.
Come. And there was written according to all that Haman had commanded under the king's lieutenants.
Go ahead.
And to the governors that were over every province.
So orders were given out. Go ahead.
And to the rulers of every people of every province according to the writing thereof.
Go ahead. So there was something constitutionalized. Go ahead.
And to every people after their language.
Go ahead. So this nation had a lot of people in it. This nation, the Persian Medes, and this empire, I should say, this empire had more than one nation in it. Just like how America has more than one nation of people in their empire. All right? And they are sending all the scribes and all this type of people to do all these things. Go ahead.
Come. In the name of King Ahasuerus.
Go ahead.
Was it written and sealed with the king's ring?
With the what?
The king's ring.
The king's ring. What would the king's ring be today? It said the what? It said sealed, right? Start from sealed.
Come. And sealed with the king's ring.
Sealed with the king's ring. What would that be? That would be like the stamp. Right? That's like a stamp of America. That's the United States seal, right? That's what that would be today. Meaning this was definitely signed and sealed by an authority figure coming from the king. Meaning this was an order from the king. Meaning this was all put into agreement. It went through all the branches that it was supposed to go through. It went through the legislative. It went through the judicial. All right. It went through the Salaki. Did I just forget my branches real quick? The legislative, the judicial, and the executive. All right. I had to reiterate. So I cannot not know the branches in America, damn it. All right. So it went through the executive, it went through the legislative, it went through the judicial, and guess what? It's approved. This is now constitutionalized in the empire of the Persian and Medes. Let's see what is now constitutionalized. Let's see if there's nothing new under the sun. Go ahead.
Come on, verse 13. And the letters were sent by post.
By what?
By post.
By what?
By post.
Go ahead.
Into all the king's provinces.
So in all the king's provinces. Go ahead. Wherever he had rulership and authority over. Go ahead.
Okay. To destroy.
To what?
To destroy.
To what?
To destroy.
Go ahead.
To kill.
Go ahead.
To kill.
Go ahead.
To kill.
Go ahead.
And to cause to perish.
Go ahead.
All Jews.
All the what?
All Jews.
All the what?
All Jews.
All the Jews. Not some of the Jews.
All Jews.
Not a little bit of the Jews.
All Jews.
Not just the ones I say I want you to kill.
All Jews.
All of them. Go ahead.
Both young and old.
But what?
Both young and old.
Young and old. Go ahead.
Little children and women.
Little children and women. Go ahead.
God. And one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar.
Go ahead.
And to take the spoil of them for a prey.
For a what?
For a prey.
Spoil of them for a what?
A prey.
Like this is what was constitutionalized. Now guess what? You probably thought that this was only in America. Well, this also happened in the Persian and Medes Empire when we were in captivity with the Persian and Medes. The same thing that we were going through in the Persian and Medes, we were going through in the United States of America. Did you know, Ak? Did you know that it was legal to kill black people in America? Of course. Did you guys know that it was legal to hang little girls and boys and to kill them and murder them if they did not walk on the right side of the road, if they did not have their heads down, if they drank from the wrong water fountain, if they did not use the right restroom? Did you know that was legal? Did you know it was legal just to choose a black man to hang and have a good lunch, sitting on a nice blanket, talking about how a good time you had, watching this black man takes his last breath in front of his family, in front of his kids, and his nieces and nephews, and his father and his mother? Did you guys know that was legal in America? The very same thing that happened in the Persian and Medes Empire is also happening in America. It is legal to kill children in America. Did you know that? Today, it is absolutely legal to kill children in America. Guess what? That's your abortion. It is perfectly legal to go into Planned Parenthood and to murder your child. That is a literal mass genocide. That's the spirit of our oppressor. A woman that was our oppressor, right? Margaret Sanger decided to come up with an idea to commit genocide and an idea how to eradicate the entire black race and the entire Latino Native American race. Well, guess what they put into place? Abortion clinics called Planned Parenthood. Not in one of those centers does it actually plan you to be a child, like to be a parent. Not at all. It does not plan you to be a parent at all, but it does plan you how to be an absolute serial killer to your own kids. And that's legal in America. You understand that? It's legal in America. It was once legal to go into reservations and to go onto land owned by the Native Americans and to absolutely slaughter them and murder them at night and to burn down all of their homes and beat them with belly clubs and a bunch of wooden clubs and bats to the point of death, and then burn the women and children in their tents. At one point in time, that was legal. And it was okay, and this happened on American soil. I ain't talking about Germany. I ain't talking about the Nazis. I'm talking about the great American people. You understand? The same thing that was happening then was also happening, is happening in America. Even to this day, they come into our neighborhoods and they kill us legally. As long as you have crack on you, it's a legal killing. As long as the car smells like weed, it's a legal killing. As long as there was a tail light out, it's a legal killing. As long as you are not obeying authorities, it's a legal killing. This is what's happening in the Black, Hispanic, and Native American community. Go ahead, Princess. Continue reading out.
Oh, God. Verse 14. The copy of the writing.
What? Go ahead, I'll continue reading.
Oh, God. Verse 14. The copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people.
It was what?
Published unto all people.
It was published to all people. Go ahead.
That they should be ready against that day.
I mean, they should be ready for this. Be prepared for this day. Go ahead.
I'm gone. Verse 15. The post went out.
The what?
The post went out.
The post went out.
Being hastened by the king's commandment.
Meaning this was pushed, right? This was pushed.
I'm gone. And the decree was given in Shushan the palace. And the king and Haman sat down to drink.
What?
And the king and Haman sat down to drink.
Go ahead.
But the city, Shuman, was perplexed.
Was what?
Perplexed.
Was what?
Perplexed.
Was perplexed. Go ahead.
So like yes, sir, that's the end of that.
Go ahead. Go to verse 4. Go to chapter 4.
Okay. Verse 1.
But the city, Shushan, was perplexed. Now, what does it mean to be perplexed? What does it mean to be perplexed? Why was that city perplexed specifically? Why were they so perplexed? What does it mean to be perplexed? For time's sake, I'm going to give it to you. They were confused. They were wondering, they were uncertain of something. They had no idea what was going on. Why was Suzanne so perplexed? Because this is where the Jews were staying. This is where the Israelites were. All right? They're wondering, why is everyone going to kill us? You understand that? Why does everyone why out of nowhere, like what happened? I voted for you. I'm a Democrat. I promise you I'm a Republican. I believe all lives matter. Why are you trying to kill me? Like this is what they're perplexed. I vote every 4 years. I'm an American citizen. Why are you treating me like this? I'm human just like you. Why are you doing this to me? They were perplexed. They were perplexed. Go ahead. Go to chapter 4, verse 1.
Come. This is the book of Esther, chapter 4, verse 1. When Mordecai perceived all that was done.
And it said what?
When Mordecai perceived all that was done.
Go ahead.
Mordecai rent his clothes.
And he did what?
Rent his clothes.
Mordecai rented his clothes. Why? Because he was upset that this order was put out. Go ahead.
Come.
He was angry.
And put on sackcloth with ashes.
Go ahead.
And went out into the midst of the city.
Go ahead.
And cried with a loud and a bitter cry.
Go ahead.
Come, verse 2. And came even before the king's gate.
Go ahead.
For none might enter into the king's gate cloth with sackcloth.
So if you were clothed with sackcloth, you couldn't even come into the gate. Why suddenly you cannot come into the king's gate with sackcloth? Anybody tell me why you cannot come into the city's gates with sackcloth magically? Anybody tell me online? Say it again.
You was a Jew.
Okay, you're on it, but okay. Give me more. You're there. It is because he is a Jew, yes, right? But think of sackcloth, right? You're there. Give me more. I want you to
You're
explain.
mourning.
Okay, they're mourning. So, okay, give me more. That's true. Sackcloth does deal with mourning, and he's a Jew. Give me more. Bring me home. Why did they suddenly say the Jew? I mean, well, not so much of a Jew, right? Someone with sackcloth, right?
Keeping the law.
No, but you're there. You're almost there when you said mourning and Jew. I want you to think about it. This is how evil our oppressor is. You understand?
Because he didn't want you to keep the law.
No, not necessarily that. All right, not necessarily that. Okay. I'm not trying to give you the answer, but you're there. Think about it. This is what they do in America now. I'm going to give it to you for time's sake. In America, they pass laws specifically for black people. You understand? Because they know that this is what black people do, and this is a way to get them locked up in jail or killed and murdered. They're going to, America passes laws to make sure, right, towards black people to make sure, like, okay, I know they do this. If we pass a law, we know that they can't do this now. This is why this is suddenly, if you wore sackcloth, you cannot see the king. Why is that magically a rule now? Because everybody knows when the Jews mourn, what do? They put on sackcloth. Well, guess what? What made them in a state of mourning? They all know that they're about to be what? Eradicated. They're about to be killed for absolutely nothing, right? For damn near nothing. And so because they're about to be killed and murdered for nothing, all right, now they're all wearing sackcloth. So now to try to fight, right, to not give them a way to be able to fight this law was now passed that anyone with sackcloth can't come see the king. Now there's no way for you to fight this, right? Because now no one can speak to the king that's a Jew. Why? Because of course, if a Jew comes and talks to the king, maybe there's a chance of what not happening? The Jews not being killed. Because really, this is not coming from the king himself. This is really an inspiration coming from who? Haman. This is coming from the Amalekite. This is coming from Agite. All right? I want you to notice the spirit behind all of this, right here. This is devil 101. This is not Persian 101. This is devil 101. This is oppressor 101. Pass laws according to their nationality, according to their culture, so you can prevent them from doing certain things. Like for an example, in Esau's military, there was a law, or you could say an order, that you can't wear do-rags. Now, now that law is specifically obviously made for who? Black people. Because we're the only ones that wear do-rags. Right? We're the only ones that wear do-rags. You know what I'm saying? That's it. You can't wear, you're not allowed, right, to wear gold teeth off the quarterdeck if you was in Esau's Navy. Well, guess what? Only people wore grills in fronts. The Puerto Ricans and the Dominicans and black folks. These laws were specifically set in place to stop those certain people from doing something. This is oppressor 101. All right? It's oppressor 101. That's why you see sometimes in certain stores, like if you got your pants sagging, right, and no shoes on and no shirt, right, then you get no service. Well, guess what? That's targeted to a certain people. Is saying you can't wear certain clothes, right, to come into this restaurant. You have to wear suede shoes, khaki pants, and a dress shirt. No J's, no Tims, no jeans, no butters, no fitted. You can't come in here. That's targeted to a certain people. This is just devil 101. I can go on and on. You get the point. All right. Hey, continue reading. Yaladim. Babu Kusha.
It's verse 3.
Continue to go to verse 3. Now y'all know, right? Y'all understand what's about to happen, right? You understand? What about you, princess? All right. Keep it quiet. Immediately. Continue reading.
Verse 3. And in every province, wheresoever the king's commandment and his decree came,
Go ahead.
there was a great mourning among Jews.
That was a great what?
There was a great mourning among the Jews.
So there was a great mourning among the Jews. Go ahead.
And fasting.
And they were what?
And fasting.
Go ahead.
And weeping and wailing.
Go ahead.
And many lay in sackcloth and ashes.
Laying in what?
Sackcloth and ashes.
In what?
Sackcloth and ashes.
Now everybody knows for sure who the Jews are at this point, right? Because what are they doing? They're doing something that Jews would do when they're mourning. You understand?
Come.
Go ahead, now.
Verse 4. So Esther's maids and her chamberlains came and told it her.
Go ahead.
Then was the queen exceedingly grieved.
She was what?
Exceedingly grieved.
She was what?
Exceedingly grieved.
Go ahead.
And she sent raiment to clothe Mordecai.
It said what?
She sent raiment to clothe Mordecai.
Go ahead.
And to take away his sackcloth from him.
Go ahead.
But he received it not.
So he said. So now it's to take away his sackcloth from him, but he received it not. Go ahead.
Oh God, verse 5. Then called Esther for Hatak.
Go ahead.
One of the king's chamberlains.
Continue reading out.
Whom he had appointed to attend upon her.
So this was the man that was in charge of keeping and watching over her. Go ahead.
And gave him a commandment.
And gave him an order. Go ahead.
To Mordecai.
Go ahead.
To know what it was.
Go ahead.
And why it was.
So she gave him an order to tell Mordecai, like, this is why all of this is happening. Go ahead.
Oh God, verse 6. So Hatak went forth to Mordecai unto the street of the city, which was before the king's gate.
Go ahead.
Verse 7. And Mordecai told him of all that had happened unto him.
So Mordecai told him all that had happened unto him. Go ahead.
And of the sum of the money that Haman had promised to pay the king's treasury for the Jews.
For the what?
For the Jews.
For the what?
For the Jews.
Go ahead.
To destroy them.
To do what?
To destroy them.
Go ahead.
Verse 8. Also he gave him the copy of the writing of the decree that was given at Shushan to destroy them.
Go ahead.
To shew it unto Esther.
And show it unto who?
And shew it unto Esther.
Now, with that being said, by the way, he put a bounty on their heads. All right? Haman put a bounty on the heads of the Israelites. Today, for time's sake, I'll let you know that I believe it was a talent, right? And that talent today would be worth over $1 billion. Over $1 billion, all right? So the king today, right, it would have been over $1 billion just for you to be like, okay, this Jew will be killed. You will eradicate and destroy all the Jews, and this is the bounty on their heads, $1 billion. That's how much. That is how much they hated us. Go ahead.
Come, sir. And to declare it unto her.
Unto what?
And to her.
Go ahead.
And to charge her that she should go in unto the king.
Go ahead. Meaning go see the king. Go ahead.
To make supplication unto him.
To make supplication, meaning to ask him of something. Go ahead.
Come, God. And to make a request before him.
And make a what?
For her people.
For her what?
For her people.
For her what?
For her people.
To make a request. It said, and to make request before him for her people. All right, go ahead.
Verse 9. And Hatak came and told Esther the words of Mordecai.
Go ahead.
Verse 10. Again Esther spake unto Hatak and gave him commandment of Mordecai.
And gave him the commandment of Mordecai. Go ahead. So now they're going back and forth with messages and things like that. Go ahead.
Verse 11. All the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces do know
Go ahead.
that whosoever, whether man or woman, shall come unto the king, enter the inner court, who is not called, there is one law of his put to him to death.
So if you came into the king's court when you were not supposed to come in, you were put to death automatically. Whether man or woman, did not matter who you were. It didn't matter your sex, it didn't matter your gender, it didn't matter if you came in this area without permission, you were going to be put to death. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. This was one law. Go ahead.
Come, except such to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter,
Go ahead.
that he may live.
Go ahead.
But I have not been called to come into the king these 30 days.
Man, it's been 30 days since I've been called in by the king, so I ain't just, she's saying, listen, this is the law, and I haven't been called in about 30 days. And you're asking me to go in here, right? Right? And to ask the king for something, to make a supplication to the king, to make a request for her people, right? Because Esther had a people. Esther had her own nationality. Esther had her own race of people, which were the Israelites, which were the Jews, which were so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Go ahead.
Come. Verse 12.
Mm-hmm.
And they told Mordecai Esther's words. Verse 13.
Go ahead.
Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther.
So now this is Mordecai's response. Go ahead.
Think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than all the Jews.
Read that one more time. Think not.
Come. Think not with thyself that thou shalt not escape in the king's house more than all the Jews.
Now break that down. What did Mordecai just say? Mordecai just said, think not with thyself. Think not with thyself. Break that down. Think not with thyself, meaning don't think according to your own. Don't even think this to yourself. Just don't think about yourself. Don't think about yourself.
He's basically saying, Salaki is this.
Go ahead,
He's basically saying, you ain't going to be different than them. You ain't going to be, what he said and commanded to them, that's going to happen to you as well.
Correct. That's exactly what it's saying. All right, that's exactly what it's saying. Now remember to always, Bubba Kushah, always raise your hand. I'll call on you too as well. All right, no sweat out. No sweat out. Just remember that. So now it says, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than all the Jews. Right? Meaning, right? Don't think you're just going to escape all the punishment that's about to happen to your people just because you're in the king's palace. Just because you got a little money, you think you're safe. You're still a nigga like me. That's what Mordecai said. You're still a Negro like me. You're still a savage like me. You're still a no good Puerto Rican like me. You're a no good Trinidad or Jamaican like me, or a no good Haitian like me. You think you got all that money and you're so rich, but did it stop those ICE agents from coming into your home and separating you from your daughter, from your son, from your abuela, from your abuelo, from your hermano, from your hermana? Did it stop it then? No, it did not. From your madre, to your padre, did it stop it then? No, it did not. It didn't. It did not at all. That's what Mordecai was breaking down. You're no different from us just because you're in the king's palace. You're a Jew. And Haman and that devil's going to know that you are a Jew. Just because how you operate, how you talk, how you walk, how you eat, how you dress, etc., etc. Go ahead.
Verse 14. For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time.
It said what?
For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time.
Go ahead.
Then shall their enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place.
Go ahead.
But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed.
Thy father's house but thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed. Go ahead. Meaning
And
if you, Salaki, 1 second, Salaki about that. Meaning if you don't do this right here, and you don't go make this supplication, this request, we are going to be utterly destroyed. Your house and your father's house. You and thy father's house. Go ahead,
Come. And who knows whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this?
Like, who knows when this is going to go down? Who knows when all hell is going to break loose? Go ahead.
Come, verse 15. Then Esther bade them return Mordecai this answer.
Go ahead. So now, this is the answer of Esther. Go ahead.
Verse 16. Go, gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan.
So together, gather all the Jews that are present in Shushan. Go ahead.
And fast ye, and fast ye for me.
And fast ye for me. Go ahead.
And neither eat nor drink 3 days.
Go ahead.
Night or day.
So this is what she wants the Jews, her people, to do for her. Go ahead.
Come. I also and my maidens will fast likewise.
And I will also fast likewise. Go ahead.
And so will I go in unto the king.
And so will I go unto the king. Meaning I will go into the king. I will do what you ask of me. Go ahead.
Which is not according to the law.
Which is not according to the what?
The law.
Because the king's law was for you to not go in there, man or woman, or you are going to be killed. So for her people, she was going to go against that law. Go ahead.
And if I perish, I perish.
If I what?
If I perish, I perish.
If I what?
If I perish, I perish.
He said, if I die, I die. How many of y'all sisters got that type of spirit? How many sisters in here got that type of spirit that if you were willing to die for your people? This right here was the spirit of Christ. You understand? This right here is the spirit of Christ. Christ was willing to die for his people. It did not matter. Our people did not even give a damn about Christ when he was on the scene, but he still died for us. How many people knew Esther? Not many. But guess how many people know her now? Guess how many people know her now? Everybody. Not just even her own people. Everybody knows who Esther is. Our oppressor, the East Indians, the Africans, you understand? The Japanese, the Vietnamese, they even know who Esther is. Because guess what? It's recorded in our records of what such a good deed she did. And what an amazing sacrifice she made for her people. Give me the editions of Esther chapter 5. And let's read the spirit of Esther and read how she felt in what she did in detail. You understand? Let's get editions of Esther chapter 5. You understand? She said, if I die, I die. If I die, I die. That's how her spirit was as a sister. She said, if I die, I die. I'm going to make this supplication. I'm going to make this request. And if I get killed, so be it. Let it be so. Because she understood her life was nothing compared to all of the nation of Israel. Her life was worth sacrificing for the complete salvation of Israel. You understand? Y'all remember yesterday in the class, right? In yesterday's class, that was Mordecai's dream, right? That was Mordecai's vision. The salvation for his people. The two dragons was Mordecai and Haman. Now we know the debate between those damn dragons. Mordecai did not bow, and Haman hated the Jews because of so. And because of so, our people were going to come to naught, to absolutely nothing. You understand? But now Esther was going to be the salvation for our people because she had the spirit of the Lord. She had the spirit of love. She had the spirit of real sacrifice and understood what it meant, that she was willing to sacrifice her life for all of Israel. The editions of Esther in chapter 5, Book of Rashad. And you can start at verse 1.
Salakia, sir. You said chapter 5?
Yeah, editions of Esther, chapter 5.
So it's only starting at on chapter 10.
The editions of Esther. Give me the editions of Esther, chapter 5. The editions of Esther, chapter 5. She understood how valuable it was to keep her nation safe. You understand? That's a beautiful spirit. Sisters today, because of our oppressor, sisters today, no thanks to our oppressor and no thanks to the Christian church, can't even make the sacrifice to be unhappy for the rest of their life for their children. But Esther was able to make a sacrifice of her own life for the entire nation of Israel. And y'all say y'all believe in Christ. Y'all sisters say, yeah, I'm married to God. I'm married to Christ. Christ is my husband. He's the only man I have. And y'all can't even make the sacrifice Esther made. Y'all can't even sacrifice being sad and unhappy for the greater good of your kids. But y'all want to preach and y'all want to voice talking about my kids come first. My kids come first. Except when my feelings are involved. They come absolutely last. And I am what matters. That's how y'all operate today. No thanks to our oppressor, and no thanks to the Christian church, and no thanks to the wickedness of this world. But Esther was not that kind of sister. And I pray that every sister in class today has that very same spirit and develop the spirit that Esther has, that the sacrifice she was willing to make. The editions of Esther chapter 5, verse 1. Right? The editions of Esther chapter 5. You got it from me out? Go ahead. Let me see it. Give me editions of Esther. Give me the apocrypha real quick. The editions of Esther chapter 5.
So it only shows right here this.
Okay, yeah, let me see it real quick. Let me see it.
This is where it starts.
Let me see. Let me see.
But I could try to get it on.
Yeah, try to get it for me, Bubba for shot.
I can definitely try.
If you can, Bubba for shot.
The editions of Esther chapter 5.
Bubba for shot, if you can.
Come.
Should be chapter 5. Let me know when you got it out.
Salakia, sir. Let me know if this is it.
Go ahead now.
It says,
You got the apocrypha for your phone too. It should have it there too as well. But go ahead now. Let me know. Let me see what it says. Cause I got it right here in front of me.
It said, I don't know.
It should say Queen Esther also, being in fear of death, resorted unto the Lord. let's see the spirit that this is in detail of what Esther did during that entire time.
You said it was in chapter 5.
Right.
Chapter 5, verse 1.
Right. The additions of Esther. What does it say?
It said, now that it came to pass on the third day.
Okay, that would be Esther chapter 5. Go ahead. Right here. Go ahead. Read it from here, Baba Kushad. For time's sake, Baba Kushad. No sweat up. The water.
Come, sir. I'm so
no sweat out.
That I don't have it.
Start from verse 1. No, there's no sweat out. There's no sweat. Sometimes that does happen.
Come, sir. It said, this is the additions to Esther chapter 5, verse 1. Queen Esther also, being in fear of death, resorted unto the Lord.
Pause right there. Go ahead and read it. 001969.
Yes.
Go ahead, give it to me. Real quick. So like about that technical difficulties. Let me see right here. Here you go, Lot. Read from verse 1, Baba Kushad. Running out of time. We're gonna end it with this right here. Like this is the spirit that Esther had. And this is the spirit that Esther had. Go ahead.
Come. This is book of additions to Esther, chapter 5, verse 1.
Go ahead.
Queen Esther also, being in fear of death, resorted unto the Lord.
Go ahead.
Verse 2. And laid away her glorious apparel.
Go ahead.
And put on the garments of anguish.
Of what?
Of anguish.
Of what?
Of anguish.
So in detail, this is what Esther did. Even though she was in glorious garments, she put on the garment of what?
Of anguish.
Of anguish. Go ahead.
And mourning.
Of what?
In the morning.
Because she was a Jew. She understood the situation her people were in. Go ahead.
Come. And instead of precious ointment,
instead of smelling good, go ahead.
She covered her head with ashes.
With ashes and what?
And dung.
And what?
And dung.
And what?
And dung.
Like she literally put feces on top of her head.
Come.
Ash and dung. All right? That's what she did. You understand? That's how serious she was. And how many sisters would do that? You understand? Y'all can't even take off your lashes. Mind you, put ashes on your head and dung. Y'all can't even take off the makeup on your goddamn face. Or them lashes that if you blink once or twice, you go goddamn airborne. You can't even do that. But this is what Esther did for her people because she loves her people. And she's not selfish like you. She's selfless. Go ahead.
Come. And she humbled her body greatly.
She what?
She humbled her body greatly.
She humbled her body greatly. That's what she did for her people. She humbled her body. She humbled it. She didn't exploit it. She humbled it. Go ahead.
Come. And all the places of her joy she filled with her torn hair.
And all the places of joy she filled it with what?
Her torn hair.
Her what?
Her torn hair.
Her torn hair. God forbid you take out your tracks. God forbid you don't put weave in your hair. God forbid you do any of that for anything. You understand? For anything. God forbid. But Esther did it. She poured her own hair out. You understand? Go ahead.
Come, verse 3. And she prayed unto the Lord God of Israel.
To the God of who?
Israel.
The God of who?
Israel.
Go ahead.
Saying, Oh my Lord,
Go ahead.
thou only art our king.
The Lord is only our king, our only king. Go ahead.
Help me.
Is that what?
Help me.
Isaiah. I said what?
Help me.
Isaiah. What
Help me.
Isaiah.
Help me.
Go ahead.
Desolate woman,
Go ahead.
which have no helper but thee.
But what?
But thee.
But what?
But thee.
No one helps me but you. Like she's making a supplication and praying to the Lord right now. She's praying to the Lord. Go ahead.
God, verse 4. For my danger is in mine hand.
It said what?
My danger is in my hand.
My danger is in my hand. She's putting herself in danger for the nation of Israel. Because the commandment was no one can go in that room, right? Or they would be put to death, no matter who they are. Go ahead.
God. From my youth up, I've heard in the tribe of my family that thou, O Lord, tookest Israel from among all people.
From her what?
All people.
From her what?
From my youth.
From my what?
From my youth.
From my youth. She said from her youth. She knew about this. That's biblical right there. That's mighty right there. From her youth, she understood who the Lord was and was taught who the Lord was and how he saved and how the Lord saved us. Go ahead, continue reading from where you left off last time.
And our fathers from all their predecessors.
Go ahead.
From a perpetual inheritance. And thou hast performed whatsoever thou didst promise them.
The Most High did exactly what he said he was going to do. He split the Red Sea, took Moses to the wilderness. Before we went into the wilderness, he said, you see those Egyptians back there? There'll be no more. He took us into the land. He let Joshua also split the sea. He went into the land of Canaan. And we won battle after battle after battle and established the nation of Israel. The Lord did exactly what he said he was going to do for us. Go ahead. There was miracles even done in the wilderness. Literally bread and fish came out the goddamn air. You understand? No thanks to our goddamn evil murmuring, but it came out the goddamn air. Go ahead.
God, verse 6. And now we have sinned before thee.
It said what?
And now we have sinned before thee.
Now we have sinned before thee. Go ahead.
Therefore hast thou given us into the hand of our enemy.
Our what?
Enemy.
Our what?
Enemy.
Go ahead. Like we have enemies. Haman and our oppressor and these devils are our enemies. Go ahead. Like this is the spirit of Esther right here. She's praying to the Lord. This is how she felt. Go ahead. This was her spirit.
Verse 7. Because we worship their God.
That we worship what?
Their God.
That's why it's such an evil thing to be a Christian and a Muslim, because we were never supposed to worship their gods. Continue reading that.
Oh Lord, thou art righteous.
Go ahead.
Verse 8. Nevertheless, it satisfied them not that we are in bitter captivity.
Skip me down for time's sake. Bring me down how she says she hates the bed of the uncircumcised.
Salakia, sir, what scripture would that be?
Maybe look around 12 and 13. Look for uncircumcised. The bed of the uncircumcised.
That would be 15.
15. Give me the verse above. 14. Give me 14.
Come, verse 14. But deliver us with thine hand.
It said to what? To do what?
But deliver us with thine hand.
To deliver us from thy hand. Go ahead,
And help me that am desolate.
She said, Isaiah that is desolate. Help me that is desolate. Go ahead.
And which have no other help but thee.
But have no other help but thee. Go ahead.
Verse 15. Thou knowest all things.
So thou knowest all things, meaning you know all of this. You know it's all things. You know all of this. Go ahead.
O Lord.
Oh Lord.
Thou knowest that I hate the glory of the unrighteous.
It says they what? She said,
I hate, or Lord, thou knowest that I hate the glory of the unrighteous.
The Lord knows that Esther hates the glory of the unrighteous. You understand? She hates the power that they have and the glory that they have for all the evil that they have done and continue to do to our people. She hates it. She hates it. Mind you, as a sister, you love it. That's why Serena Williams married that devil, because you love it. You understand? You love it. Esther hated it. You love it. You love their power. You love their glory. That's why you're on food stamps now. That's why you're on WIC now. Because you love their glory. That's why you're on food stamps and WIC and government assistance now, because you love their glory. You love the fact of the power that they give you. You love it. You love their glory. You love it. That's why you love child support so much. You love it. Esther hated it. But instead, you love it. But you call yourself a woman of God. Esther hated it. Go ahead.
Oh God. And abhor the bed of the uncircumcised.
She said what?
And abhor the bed of the uncircumcised.
She hated the bed of the uncircumcised. She hated the fact that she was married to that heathen. She hated it. She absolutely hated it. You love it. You want a white, so like you want a white boy right away. You pray for an Edomite boy. You pray for that blonde hair and blue eyes to come and grab you up. You pray for that African man. You pray for it. You pray for that devil to swoop you off your feet. Esther hated it. Esther hated the bed of the uncircumcised. She absolutely hated it and dreaded it. Go ahead, Doc.
Okay. And all the heathen.
And all the what?
And all the heathen.
And she was absolutely against the heathen. Go ahead, Doc. It should stop at verse 18, right? Read me to verse 18 at least.
So like.
No sweat out. Let me see. For time's sake, and if the handmaid have not. No sweat. We'll actually stop at verse 15. No sweat. Yeah. We'll stop there for now. So like, you can go ahead, bro. Go ahead, Doc. And so this is now this is what we have to understand. Esther hated all of this. Esther hated all of this and all of that. You understand? And that's something so important to understand. Esther made a great sacrifice. All right. Esther made a great sacrifice for the nation of Israel. Now, briefly, because we're running on time, I'm going to tell you the rest of the story. All right. The rest of the story is she fell in front of the king, and the king heard her out. She was not killed for going into that chamber, and she did exactly what Mordecai said to do and followed the orders of a man and did exactly what he was supposed to do, or what she was supposed to do, because she was trained like this since a child from her youth to follow and obey orders. And she did exactly what Mordecai did. She went in that room, spoke to the king heard, and Haman's family was put to death. And Haman was found in that courtroom that he had no business being in. And because of so, Haman was put to death with the very same device that he was going to hang Mordecai with, that was 7 stories high. I don't know if y'all knew that, but Haman wanted to hang Mordecai 7 stories high. I believe that's estimate in the Bible. I think it said like 3 to 4 cubits. It was like 3 to 4 cubits. That's 7 stories. Do y'all know how high 7 stories is? They were trying to hang the hell out of Mordecai. He had something special. But guess what? If the Lord is on your side and you serve the Lord and you keep his commandments, then he's going to make your enemies his footstool. You understand? He's going to make your enemies his enemies. And he's going to destroy them with their own devices. That's in the Bible. That's what King David said. You understand? And guess what? He was hung 7 stories high. And not Mordecai. And neither were the Jews killed. All right? Neither was the Jews killed. With that, I say Amadi, which means to stand. With that, we're going to give a curse salute to the brothers. All right? Men of Israel. Amadi Shabbat. Amadi. Barak.
Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shabbat,
Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shabbat. Yahweh Matah. Saul Agwafin. Mean face of sisters. Like it's a thought for you. It'll be a thumb for me because I'm talking to the crowd. All right?
sir.
Men of Israel. We're going to give a curse salute to the sisters. Men of Israel. Amadi Shabbat. Amadi. Barak. Yahweh Shamar Lathan Bashim Yamshah. Yahweh Matah. With that, class dismissed.